Eleanor Whitfield had always believed in the quiet power of patience. She had grown up watching her father, the legendary philanthropist Richard Whitfield, build his empire not with arrogance but with grace, and she had inherited every bit of that same composed dignity. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of small moments to change lives, please stay with us and watch this story till the end. If there is any mistake or shortcoming in our story, please kindly forgive us and support us with your love, patience, and encouragement. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness True Stories. And tell us in the comments where in the world you are watching from. Your support means everything to us. When she married Daniel Hargrove 3 years ago, she thought she had found a man who matched her values. A man who smiled warmly at strangers, who held doors open for elderly women, who whispered promises into her hair on cold winter nights. But life has a way of slowly peeling back the masks people wear, and Eleanor had spent the last 6 months watching Daniel's mask slip. One cruel evening at a time. She was 5 months pregnant with their child, her belly round and full of hope, while her husband came home later and later, smelling of a perfume that was certainly not her own. She said nothing. She watched. She planned. The annual Diamond Gala was approaching, an event she herself had founded 4 years ago under a private holding company, carefully concealed behind legal structures that kept her name invisible to the public. The gala raised millions for maternal health care, and every elite name in the city fought for an invitation. Eleanor had already decided this year's gala would be different. This year, it would be the stage for a truth that could no longer stay hidden. She personally approved the guest list, and with steady hands and a calm heart, she added Daniel's name and made sure his +1 invitation was open, knowing exactly who he would bring. The night of the gala arrived, dressed in chandelier light and the scent of white roses. Eleanor stood backstage in a deep navy gown, her baby bump elegant and proud, her eyes sharp behind a serene smile. She had coordinated everything, the seating, the program, the moment of reveal, with the precision of a woman who had been underestimated her entire life. Daniel arrived in a sharp black tuxedo with Vanessa Cole on his arm, a woman 10 years younger with expensive highlights and borrowed confidence. He had told Eleanor he had a business dinner that evening, an excuse so thin it was nearly transparent, but Eleanor had simply kissed him on the cheek and told him to enjoy himself. Vanessa had never attended anything this grand before, and she clung to Daniel's arm with wide eyes, whispering that he must have incredible connections to score an invitation. Daniel nodded proudly, happy to take credit for something he had nothing to do with. They were escorted to a front-row table, which Daniel assumed was a lucky coincidence of good timing. He ordered champagne and leaned close to Vanessa, feeling like a king in a kingdom he had not built. The evening began with a welcome video, short film, about the gala's founding mission, the lives it had changed, the hospitals it had funded. Then the host stepped onto the stage and began speaking about the visionary woman behind it all, a woman who had created this institution from the ground up, who had donated over $40 million of her personal inheritance to maternal health causes, who had chosen to remain anonymous until tonight. Daniel was barely listening. He was scrolling through his phone under the table when the host said, "Ladies and gentlemen, it is my extraordinary honor to finally introduce the founder of the Diamond Gala, Mrs. Eleanor Hargrove." The applause was immediate and thunderous. Daniel's phone slipped from his fingers. Eleanor walked onto that stage with the calm of someone who had rehearsed this moment, not in a mirror but in her soul. The spotlight caught the diamond at her throat, her grandmother's stone, the one she wore only on the most significant nights of her life. She stood at the podium, looked out across the glittering crowd, and let her eyes find Daniel's table with effortless precision. The color had drained entirely from his face. Vanessa was frozen beside him, her champagne glass halfway to her lips, suddenly understanding with horrible clarity why they had been given the best seats in the room. Eleanor spoke beautifully about the gala's mission, about the dignity of mothers, about the kind of love that protects and sacrifices without asking for applause. Every word landed like a stone in still water. When she finished, She stepped away from the podium and never looked at their table again. She did not need to. Within the hour, the story was circulating through every conversation in that ballroom. By morning, it was everywhere. Daniel called her phone 17 times that night. She answered once calmly and told him that her lawyers would be in touch. She hung up before he could speak, rested her hand gently on her belly, and felt her baby kick, as if even that small life already knew that its mother was no ordinary woman. Some people spend their whole lives performing power. Eleanor Whitfield had simply always possessed it. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel Kindness True Stories. Your support means the world and helps us bring more stories of strength, dignity, and truth straight to your heart. Thank you for watching.